Hello, you beautiful soul. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are going to talk about 8 spiritual lies. I was calling this half truths, but the fact of the matter is these are just straight up lies that we have all been sold, that have been indoctrinated and programmed into us. And I am so excited and slightly nervous to spill the tea for you guys. So we're going to talk about sage, psychics, sending beings to the light, spirit guides, and manifestation. And I literally was feeling nervous before recording this because I'm just going to give a trigger warning, right? Some of this may be triggering because some of these beliefs were things I had to break through, really pray about, sit with God about to get to the next level. And, by the way, this is a new thing for me, even being comfortable talking about my own practices and beliefs and how I connect with God on my public channels. It's always been a part of my programs and my private client sessions, but this is a newer thing for me. So learning how to really share on a deeper level about my own relationship with God outside of religion, outside of New Age spirituality, what this actually looks like for me. So it makes me a little bit nervous to share this, but I am also excited because I feel like some light bulbs are going to go off, and I want to be, I know that I'm a messenger. That's part of my purpose here. But I also just hope that my prayer over this episode is just that there is one truth that you take out of this that really resonates with you, shifts something in you, helps you see more clearly, helps you connect to your true self, your higher self, and God more clearly. And so that there's just a big seed of value, some golden nugget that you take away from this. Thank you, God. So it is. And I'll just say this too up front. You are always welcome in any content that I give, and even in my programs. People that are in Priestesses of Protection ask me all sorts of questions. I sit there as long answering them as I can before my next calls, because it's important to have a safe place where there's no judgment to talk about these like extremely deep spiritual concepts. The world is a bit of a crazy place right now. Some people think that we are in the middle of an energetic, a spiritual war. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no, right? So it's important to have a forum where everybody's opinion is heard and welcomed without judgment. And so what I would say for you as you listen to these 8 pieces of advice, these 8 spiritual lies that we've all been sold, that you ask your own higher self, ask God, turn on your connection as you're listening to this episode and feel what's true for you, because you don't have to take my word on all of this. God will reveal the truth to you if you ask. If you are patient, I can teach you how to do that in a split second if you really want to build that God connection, but you will get answers if you set your mind to it and pray about it. So some of this may trigger you, but if that happens, guess what? It's actually something to celebrate, because that means that there's a breakthrough on the way. An emotional trigger is always a messenger. We just started level 2 of my Priestesses Protection group yesterday, and we were talking all about reflections, and a lot of them come through people, they're emotional triggers, and people are not, they're not villains. They are actually just gifts. They're helping us along the path to something that our soul desires to create in that sense. So don't kill the messenger. If you don't like something that I say, just wonder, get curious, like, why is this actually triggering me? What's in here for me with this? Okay, so number 1, psychics are helpful. I was even going to say safe at first, but let's just look at it from the stance of you spend $200 or whatever. That's what one of my clients who I was recently talking to about this spent a couple of weeks ago. And do you get a lot of value, right? Was this a fair exchange of value, and was it helpful for your soul? I'm going to say 9 times out of 10 or more, no, stop going to them. Be very cautious of who you go to. My advice has always been to become your own psychic. That's why I trained in Reiki and mediumship for almost 6 years, because I didn't trust the energy that I was feeling from other people that I had considered hiring. And if you can't get a clear read on their energy, if you're unclear about their spiritual beliefs, if it's unclear who they are connecting to, what's gods, right? There are false gods out there that they are connecting to, and you don't feel a strong God frequency coming from this person, the one true God, the creator and king of the universe, then I would be extremely, extremely cautious, because things that are connected to them can cord into you energetically, right? We are talking about dark energies in this series. And by the way, if you want more episodes like this, more coming in the next couple of weeks. So don't forget to follow, subscribe on this channel, and so you can see the rest of the videos. But you would need to learn how to clear yourself then from the energy of the psychic. So this is why it is easier to become your own psychic. Once again, when we clear dark energy out of our field, our intuition naturally skyrockets. Our ability to connect with God just like that on the spot in any moment and make a decision in traffic and go the right way, your life feels so much easier. That's just like one example that came to me, because we were in Italy recently, rushing to the airport in Rome, and thank God for intuition and having his guidance direct me at all times. Like, God wants to come into the mundane parts of our lives with us for whatever reason. I'm human. I forget this sometimes, but I have been reminding myself more and more and more as I've been surrendering this business to God so that he can show me where we are going and growing into. And it's just really, I end up having to remind clients of that all the time too. Like, God wants to be in everything with you. So you are not separate. You don't have to go to a church or a temple or to a psychic to receive a message from God. You don't have to see me to receive a message from God. You have access to this at all times. It does take training to be able to build a strong intuitive connection. There are other things you can do, simply like reading the Word of God, learning about wisdom. In the Bible, wisdom is often talking about intuition. There are lots of clues in there for you about how you can sharpen it for free. So that is another just easy, accessible thing for you. If you're feeling like you need guidance, just open up to a page, have a question, ask God, set the intent to receive the answer, open the Bible and turn to a page, and you're probably going to get a piece of wisdom that will help you and give you an answer about where you are trying to go, what you are looking for. I have had clients go to psychics. People come to me, right, because I am a trained intuitive, and they are upset, sometimes crying. I have had many women told they are never going to have a baby. Okay, women told that they have to quit their job, but when they actually love their job, and when I'm looking in on the highest level in their field, right, there are many different planes of connection. Keep that in mind. A lot of people don't know this. I wasn't taught this in my first 4 intuition and mediumship courses. Wow, why did it take a 5th course to learn about the different planes of connection? I don't know, right? Once again, so much misinformation out there. But when I was looking in on these people's fields, a lot of these women had children in their soul contract. They've been crying for a year before they saw me. The pain that they went through from that one psychic situation gone wrong, right? Not worth it. This is why I say you are safer training your own intuition and learning how to clear dark energies from your field so that your natural intuition just skyrockets, because then there is more space in your physical body and your energy body for a relationship with God, okay? So this is not me trying to convert you to any type of like a religion or something like that, but whatever you think of God as, there'll just be more space. If there's less darkness, there's more space for light, right? Makes sense. Okay. The other thing too is that this is really important to say. So now one of my girls who's just finished level 1 of Priestesses of Protection, she's the one who paid that psychic $200 and was like, I literally wasted time and money. Like, I could have sat with myself in a session using the tools I've learned in your program and would have gotten to all of those answers myself. And she was able to feel what was wrong and what was right, because psychics are not always accurate. And once again, are they connecting to God? Are they connecting to a false God? Are they connecting literally to Satan, right? You don't know. And it depends on the person. If you're not intuitive, then you can't discern that. So that's why I would say steer clear. But they'll tell you a lot of truth, and then there'll be like one statement that takes you off the path. Like, this isn't the right job for you. You're never going to have a child, whatever it is. And then that is how the Dark Order works. They take you off your life path with that one statement. And that just, this has literally even happened to me. I had the one medium that I trained under that I trusted. After 6 months of training, I hired finally for a session, told me something that was so untrue. She said LA wouldn't be right for me. I should never move here. Once again, that was her own ego bias of living in Beverly Hills for years and it not being the right fit for her, which is fine, but she couldn't separate her own ego overlay from our reading session. And it took me an extra year to move here. My business skyrocketed here. I have the best group of friends here. Like, I'm meant to be here because there was just warfare over the city of LA. Like, she was just wrong. So anyway, psychics are not always helpful. Okay, spiritual lie number 2. God is punishing you. I have felt this way. This runs very deep in my soul, but it is not true. This is a lie from the dark force agenda, the Antichrist agenda. Call it whatever you want. This is just not true. God is meant to be this loving, fatherly energy. You don't have to see him as a man. I was just talking with a client about this morning. I work with a lot of independent women, so obviously that visual can bother them. But just like how we call nature Mother Nature and money a masculine energy, God is considered a masculine presence because he's here for you, he's keeping you safe, he's protecting you. It's just more of that divine masculine than the divine feminine energy. And he wants you to experience, I'm saying he, in quotes, right? Take it with a grain of salt because this is just the fastest way to explain this so you're not here all day. But he wants you to have everything that's meant for you. But first of all, he wants you to ask, is this meant for me? Is this right for me? And if it is, then you are going to have it. He's going to do exceedingly above and beyond what you believe and what you can perceive as a human, right? We've got such a low level of perception compared to the highest level spiritual being, the creator, the king of the universe. That being said, there is correction in a biblical sense. You've probably heard of that term, and maybe that was enough for years for me to just not want to go to church, right? That concept kind of scared me until I learned about reflections in the more new age sense, the more generic spiritual world. And they are very similar, by the way. I was teaching on this week in the Priestesses of Protection, but none of these are punishment. They are actually a gift. It's just little signs guiding you back on the path, okay? And another good thing to remember here is that it's the ego's job to keep a job for itself, right? Like, you don't go to work and tell your boss to fire you, right? You would never do that. That would make no sense. So the ego is going to make you feel like you are a victim and place blame outside of yourself so that you don't see that it has been the root of the problem. Oftentimes it is. But remember, the law of cause and effect, right? This is a main law of the universe, one of the most spiritual laws of the universe, that there are often causes before the effect way long ago that we forgot about or that we can't see. But once again, with intuition, asking God, we can see it all. We can have full clarity about how a reflection or a correction came to be created in our life. And that, once again, gives us our power back to create whatever we want to, at least as long as it is in alignment with your soul's purpose and God's plan for your life. So once again, the second that we become a victim, we're now separated from the healing and restoration power of God, okay? This is also the Antichrist agenda. They want to claim you. This is the first step in claiming you, telling you, getting you to believe. Media, newspapers, you're seeing this in movies. Like, everybody is using this rhetoric of God is punishing you, right? God is punishing me. I'm being punished. I'm a victim. No, that's actually not what's happening. That is not coming from light beings. That is messaging that is, there are ulterior motives behind that messaging. So start questioning that when you see that and when you start to think it, because this right here will be life-changing if you choose to kind of shift how you are seeing correction and reflections from an intrusion in your life to an invitation to actually get back on the path to what you want, your highest and best purpose and life. Okay, number 3, spirit guides are light beings. No. They are not always light beings. Occasionally they are, but you need lots and lots of intuitive tools to be able to connect with God and ask, what is the polarity of this being? What percentage of light is this being? If you really want to take their advice and implement it into your life. Like I said, trained with 5 different intuitives and mediums. The fourth one was extremely extensive. So what I mean by this is that for 6 months to become I am now a certified life purpose medium. I use a little bit of the things I learned, but I also learned a lot about what not to do, right? So once again, still lots of value. But when I was getting trained in this program, I did blind reads for 6 months straight, every single Wednesday for an hour with a complete stranger. I would not set up the calls. Someone else would just tell me where to show up. So I didn't know anything about the person, and you're getting graded. You have to be above 95% accuracy to be able to graduate. But lots of things are going on there. You're connecting into the other person's energy field. It's like you're really doing it yourself without God, which makes this energy work more dangerous for your own energy body, and makes a lot more work for you in cord cutting and preparation before and after the session. It also can make your reads less accurate. Anyway, this is kind of a tangent, but after doing that for 6 months and just connecting to all of these different beings that were attached to all of these strangers, some high frequency, some low frequency, right? These weren't even clients that I was attracting. These are just people that this person who put the program together was attracting for free reads, right? So lots of energy all over the place there. I started feeling horrible. God was screaming at me to stop. Luckily, I had passed the certification that week when it was like, I could just no longer do this anymore. I just was like, I can't do another one of these. Like, I know I'm good at this, and I don't even think I'm gonna use this. I knew there would be some way that I would incorporate it, but I was like, I'm not going to sell this. But of course, training your intuition is always valuable. So my main point here with this is to just not assume, like I did, that all spirit guides are light beings. It's just, that seems to be the rhetoric in the mediumship and spiritual world, that these are all beings of light here to help us. It's not always true. Why would you go to the dead for advice about the living? Right? Sometimes it's comforting to connect with an ancestor. I lost my father like 10 years ago. So yes, I do connect with him sometimes, and that makes me feel loved. And sometimes he does have wisdom for me or a memory to show me. And so once again, I am not saying that all spirit guides are bad. I am just saying this is a tricky business, learning to do this, and you want to have rock solid intuition, a rock solid relationship with God to do this energy work safely. It's also like, if you're going to do ayahuasca ceremonies or alien activations, like you really need your ducks in a row before you go into those journeys so that you are protected. You certainly want to know how to clear yourself, once again, from dark forces, because you absolutely will pick up energy that is inorganic and that is harmful, that will hurt you. If you don't clear it, it will harvest your energy. It can affect your thoughts, and this left on your body can start to affect your physical health over the long term. Okay. So I have come back to, after going through all of these trainings, practicing mediumship reads for 6 months, coming back to, once again, just using my connection to God for everything. I always pray before all of my client sessions, because this creates the strongest intuitive breakthroughs for me and the person sitting with me, the clients. I always pray before my programs and my groups, because that just makes the container safe. It brings up the vibration and the energy in the Zoom room. And it's just much stronger. It's much more accurate intuition-wise, and it is so much safer energetically. I feel like I'm shouting, but that is like partly Italian of me, and also part that I am just like extremely passionate about this, because I feel like I spent years on the wrong path with a lot of this information, and if you are going through this and you have been ascending in Reiki trainings and you're now a master and you've been learning about intuition and mediumship and you're doing reads and all this stuff, and you're feeling worse, not better, right? Obviously you spent all this time and money to feel better. You were looking for something, right? It's normal. We're all here to understand, learn, grow, and evolve. But I hope this helps somebody who's been through a lot of these trainings and has felt worse afterward, like me. That is why. That is what's going on. We can clear it. It's all possible. And there are just better ways to help people if you do want to deliver intuitive sessions. And intuitive sessions are great, especially while people are still learning to build their own God connection. But at the end of the day, once again, that's one of the biggest lies about organized religion and church that bothers me personally. You don't have to be in a church to get a word from God. You can do that anywhere, anytime, any moment, any place, right? You don't have to just be in this one spot. God is everywhere if you allow him to be in all parts of your life. That's a choice that we make. Okay, number 4. That looks like 8, but it's also 4 because we're really talking about 4 right now, but there are 8 total. Maybe that's why I did that. Okay, just keeping us on track here. So, manifest whatever you want. Like, manifestation is just whatever you want to create. This could be like a whole episode in itself, so let me just give kind of like a highlight here. It is extremely, I already sold a course, right? Guys, my parent company is called the Manifest Mindset. I've been in this business for over 5 years now. I have sold hundreds of thousands of dollars on my original course, the Manifest Mindset. And even in that program years ago, I brought God into all of it because there's a whole module in that about separating the ego and what your ego wants to create from what God wants to create in your life, because we can create from the ego, but those are oftentimes like the scenario where we grow a business really quickly and then something just totally takes us down. We get this big correction. We make money really quickly. We lose it all. Like, manifesting from the ego is not fun. This is like me, my DJ career, right? I grew really quickly, built up a very big 7-figure business. I lost it all overnight, every last dollar, every single revenue stream overnight when the pandemic hit. Okay, that was an ego creation. I am aware of it. That's also why it was a part of my purpose, right? Because I needed to learn these lessons to be able to teach this. But we are meant to be consulting our higher self, right? To look to have clarity on what's on our soul's path, and to ask God what's meant for us. What he has planned for our life is so much better than what the human mind can think of and conceive. So this is why manifestation is kind of like a slippery slope. One of my friends sent me a video the other day, and it was just like, manifestation is black magic. And she was like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, so many thoughts. So I might actually make that a separate episode, because getting into the space of manifestation, especially, it's become so popular. It's now $1 billion industry. It's not a fact. I haven't Googled that, but I just feel like it probably is, right? Because everybody that you know is selling a manifestation course now, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are certainly a lot of good principles that can help people, and the Bible talks about manifestation, right? Ask and you shall receive. Abraham Hicks named her book after a verse in the Bible, right, about manifestation. So it's not all bad. That's not what I'm saying. That would obviously make me a huge hypocrite. However, there's good and bad in everything, just like there's high frequency content in the Bible and low frequency information in the Bible that, was it really channeled from God, or was it created hundreds of years later from a fear-based agenda, right? You have to discern that yourself when you are reading it or in a manifestation course. What is right for me? What's the best way for my soul to have this journey? What can happen is like the example in entertainment. I can obviously speak to this because I was in that world for the better part of 10 years, is that you just get more and more in the ego. You're allowing the ego to control you. This is a very, very specific, it can be a king demon, and it's also another very, very specific type of dark force energy that I'm not going to say the name of it, but there is a battle for control over Earth. We're going to talk more about the history of dark forces and how they got here next week. So once again, don't forget to subscribe if you do want more of these free videos. I'm committed to just bringing truth. Even if some people hate me for it, then that is what it is. For those of you it's helping, thank you for your messages. It just really helps motivate me and reminds me why God has shared this information and this purpose in my life. So thank you guys for even the encouragement from my dark force journey last week. That was just beautiful. Appreciate you. But so main point here, when we start slipping into too much of the ego, learning from manifestation masters who are not centered, who are not using God as a North Star in their life, we can start slipping into things that resemble black magic, and even celebrities and people in Hollywood do some of these things, right? You can discern that for yourself. There are plenty of celebrities that use rituals on stage. When you see an overnight success, was that God giving it to them? Or did they do something to cause that effect, right? So this is about having a really good relationship with your higher self and God, source, universe. You can put whatever word you want in here. Obviously, I pray to God, the King and Creator of the universe, because that is safer, and that's a whole different episode on the difference between those terms. We don't have time for that today. I thought about adding that in, and I was like, this is enough of a journey in this episode already. But people think that God isn't giving them something, once again, kind of similar to like God is punishing you. No, God wants you to have everything that is planned for you. There is a path, a soul plan for your life that was created beautifully and perfectly before you even manifested on earth. And it's our job to be curious about that and develop tools to inquire into that, rather than just create from the ego, because you will get corrected. I did, and a lot of my clients have too. Okay, number 5, you are God, right? You hear a lot of this rhetoric like, I am the creator in the New Age world, and I am not saying there's anything wrong with saying like, I am the creator of my life. Like, yeah, absolutely, you are. I like saying that too. It resonates with me, but I am not God, and you are not God. There is one true God, right? The thing with that, though, is that because of law of correspondence, we have the power to create in his image, right? In quotes. I don't want this to trigger anybody. I'm just trying to give you guys the best information in a digestible format. But we have the power to create in his image. We are not him. So this is something I just wanted to point up, another conversation that came up with one of my members recently. So there is a lot of rhetoric in the New Age world that really blurs these lines about what God is. Once again, ask yourself, is that part of the light agenda or the dark agenda? All of this confusion, right, about what God is. So you don't know left from right anymore, and you now don't feel supported or loved anymore, and you now don't know who to go to when you need to pray or ask for something, or you need a big revelation, you need a big breakthrough. You're now confused. Is that helpful to you? It's not, right? My main point with this is that the creation never trumps the creator. So we have to remember that there's an order to this perfect universe that we are so privileged to live in. Let me take a sip here real quick. Sidebar, if you want to hear the episode that I wrote and then did not include in this because it's a whole topic in and of itself on the difference between God, source, light, these terms, false gods, how this can affect your spiritual practices and actually open your field to dark energy if we are not careful. If this episode would be useful for you personally in your life, please tell me. I am not making these episodes for me. I am making these episodes for my community, for you, because I appreciate you, I value you, and I want to serve in the way that I am being called to serve right now. So if that is an episode that you want, please send me a DM, leave a comment here on YouTube, and then you can DM me on Instagram, right? It's just at Nicole Rose Stillings, my full name, and I will prioritize pushing that episode up to the top of my list. And like I said, every week on Thursdays, I am now committed to getting these out. I was going to say banging them out, but that sounds like such a weird sexual masculine visual with that. But it's like, I am committed to getting these out every Thursday. And yeah, it's really important to me that I'm just making things that are serving my favorite people. So number 6, rejecting dark forces makes you immune. It does not. Okay. This is a great question that has come up so many times with clients, with people just asking me this on Instagram, in workshops, in free workshops that I have hosted. If you believe that dark energies and dark forces don't exist, it does not make you immune to them. In fact, it actually makes you a magnet for them, but I'm getting a little bit ahead. Let me explain this. This is a fact of the universe. This is the law of polarity. Where there is light, there is dark. Okay, so for one to exist, the other one has to exist. That is just how our universe was created. So it is not belief-based, once again, because we are not this top-line creator that is God, King of the universe, the creator of the universe, whatever you want to call this all-knowing, all-powerful energy source. That is how it was created on a level beyond our skill set, our powers, okay? So our beliefs create our world, not the entire world, right? You're not God, I'm not God. And the other thing is, just to give you a little bit more proof, because I have a feeling so many of you guys who will end up listening this have actually had this experience. I can see them, I can feel them, I can hear them. I also know they're here, right? And just different types of intuition that I activate when I'm in these dark force clearing sessions with my clients. But I'm not alone in this. Even think about back to childhood, or if you're a mom now, right? So many of my clients are moms because their children are seeing things in their house. There's usually, if you used to see angels, demons, anything supernatural in your childhood, I did, then there was a moment, a memory where you chose to deactivate your third eye because you were scared, you didn't feel safe, right? So higher self is only going to go at a level that the human self is comfortable with. So you may have even had that experience in your past, and just remembering that can start to help you open up these gifts again. So most importantly, if you take nothing else out of this episode, I want you to remember this. Fear is a magnet for the nastiest dark forces that I know. Okay? Fear is a magnet for them because they feed off of them. This is like how you eat food to feel energized and fueled and go and have a great work day. They are going to, their fuel is your fear. Okay? And this is the law of attraction. They can smell your fear like a rabid animal and they feed off of it. Okay? So just remember that. If you are scared about this topic, then there's something way deeper to look at, because that in and of itself is a reflection. We can reprogram that. We can get that fear from a 10 to a 0 in like 5 minutes flat. And then you're not going to be a magnet for dark forces. Amazing. Okay. Number 7, saging and sending spirits to the lights. This is so great. People ask about this all the time as well. I am just happy to be able to share this so that you realize that the things that you're doing to keep you safe in these intuition sessions and mediumship sessions and Reiki sessions and, I don't know, calling in ghosts and dead spirits, like that, it's actually not working, okay? Saging, this is like going to a war in Iraq with a plant. Are you going to survive? It's not likely, right? If someone is pointing a gun at your head, you need a weapon in the 3D world. This isn't my perspective, though. This is historical, right? It goes back to biblical times, and we are talking about these dark energies. Essentially, you know, in Christianity, it's called warfare. Not trying to scare anybody. This is just, you know, I study warfare from all different perspectives, secular, non-secular, whatever, so that I have a full vision of what's really going on here in these other realms, because that is important to me and it is a part of my purpose. So that being said, it goes back to biblical times. 2 Corinthians 10:4, the weapons of spiritual warfare are not earthly, but mighty through God to tear down strongholds. This is why you can't use sage to get rid of a demon. It's going to laugh in your face. You won't see it if your third eye's not on, but trust me, that's what's happening when I see these things happening. Sending spirits to the light, okay? Realm 2 beings and dark forces, they don't go into the light. Sending something I cross souls over. By the way, I'm just going to give a little PSA here. I do this as community service. I love doing soul crossovers. God has put this on my heart that this is a way that I'm meant to help. I'm not going to say that I'm the only person gifted in this. Many people do this, but I love doing it, and it feels great for me and for the person who just had the loss, especially if they're feeling a lot of the anxiety of the soul that has not crossed over. So if that is you or you know somebody, connect us, because I would love to help them. They can just DM me. And this is something that I just offer for free because God has asked me to. So realm 2 beings and dark forces, they don't go into realm 7, into heaven, into the light, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm not shunning anybody's beliefs here. I'm actually trying to include everybody in the way that I speak about these terms. That's really important to me. But they're not headed to God's kingdom right now. Doesn't mean they may never be. But if they are in the dark force world, part of this dark agenda, that's essentially the Antichrist, they've got more work to do from a metaphysical perspective. Their soul isn't polarized in a sense where it's just going to go into the 7th realm and become one with all that is and God. Okay? That's not happening right now. If something is considered a dark force, is a realm 2 being, it's got a lot more evolution, soul evolution to go through before that would happen. So you cannot send it to the lights. It doesn't work. I have no idea who started this lie. I would love to know, because that person is dark AF. Because now that spirit is just, you think you've gotten rid of it, so you think you're safe to go use the Ouija board or call on spirit guides or whatever you're doing, and you're not safe. You're not protected, and things are courting into you. That's just the fact of the matter, especially when I turn on my spiritual sight and I see these things. The only thing that dark forces respond to in thousands of hours of clearing that I've done is, you guessed it, force. That's why it's called a dark force. All right, we've got one more. And I'm just going to preface this with, I am going to quote the Bible one more time, but from the perspective of this is a historical book that has lots of high frequency content in it, and you decide for yourself if this resonates with you. But everybody when I shared this with my Priestesses of Protection group, people wanted this Bible verse for themselves because it made so much sense, how things had happened in their life, and it helped them to overcome this belief. Okay, so there is another massive spiritual lie that love and light heals all. This is a massive lie perpetrated by people who were infiltrated with dark forces. I am sure of it. I have asked God about this, to separate you from your true power, because then they are not gone. Like I said, if it is a dark force, it requires force to remove it. And to back me up on this, love and light heals all is not what God says in the Bible. Okay, so this is Psalms 35. If you want to go and read this later, there's way more on warfare in this section. You don't have to take my word for it. But I would love to know if this resonates with you. So I'm going to share the verse with you guys for your own protection too, if you, and also to shift this belief, if this is something that you are struggling with, because I have seen members of my own program struggle with this. So, contend, Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take up shield and armor. Arise and come to my aid. Right? Nowhere is God telling you to roll over and just take it. This is actionable language, right? This is why they say the word of God is the sword of God, all right? Brandish spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Say to me, I am your salvation. May those who seek my life be disgraced and put to shame. May those who plot my ruin be turned back in dismay. May they be like chaff before the wind, with the angel of the Lord driving them away. May their path be dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. Wow, right? What a powerful visual. God actually has angels to pursue the Antichrist forces, spirits, dark forces. Like, God is a part of our team combating this. And he's got an army to help you if you are experiencing warfare in your life. So I just want to take a moment, if that's resonating with you, to pray for you. I'm always here. By the way, also, if you're going through something and you really want me to pray for you too, DM me, leave a comment here. I would love to. I'm happy to. I always pray in the beginning and end of all of my sessions because it's really important to me that we are just calling in God first energy and that these are just the highest frequency possible. And you will not believe the wonders, works, and signs, the manifestations, if you want to call them that happen immediately because of the prayer. Just last week, I was praying for somebody's husband in a session to see her value. He'd gone outside of the marriage. I was praying for him to know that everything that he needs is in this beautiful family unit, this incredible unit that God gave him. I was praying for this to just be something that he feels very deeply in his heart, like a knowing that God just places, it overcomes him, and it just places him in a position where he wants to be the best provider, the best husband, where he is not motivated by the outside, but on the inside, that he just feels the presence of God in his life, and just something overcomes him, and he has an immediate shift. And I kid you not, right after the prayer was done, after we got on to session, she sent me the screenshot with the timestamps. He had messaged her and he was apologizing, saying how she had been such a positive force, how he had gone away and turned against from his higher self, his knowing in God, how he was so sorry, how she was so strong, and how he just respects his wife. They're separated just temporarily so much. And what a great first step, right, on this path to healing. So, can be this simple for you too. Just want to give that word. All right. The last thing I want to share here is that because I have been getting a bunch of questions, I'm going to do a Dark Force Energetic Protection Q&A on May 1st. And what I'm going to do is a live podcast recording. So this episode is going to be on 7 surprisingly common actions that invite dark energy and entities into our field. And I'm also just going to take questions just from our private community so that this is just a high vibe group afterward on Zoom. If you want to be invited to this episode recording and have private space to ask me any questions that have come up for you, I would love to answer those for you. If you just want to come on this and you want some prayer after that, I am happy and honored. I would be honored to do that for you. So you can register for this private Q&A and podcast recording on May 1st. It's going to be 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be quick. Like the podcast will be like 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll save plenty of time for Q&A, and I will get to everybody. That is my promise to you, that if you show up, I will get to you, I will serve you, and I will support you with any messages that I receive for you. So you can register below in the episode notes. I will leave a link there, and I will also be sending that as an email to our community. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I just hope that there was something in here that helped you, that was a light for you, that was a light bulb that went off and shifted the way that you think about something, and I would just love to hear from you what resonated with you most. And God bless you. I love you. Have an amazing week.